Hi, I'm Donna, an OpenSciEd teacher. Today's video will be about B5 Lesson 5, the Putting It All Together lesson. This lesson will wrap up what is currently happening to Arctic bears and start to introduce our next big question all about the future. In this video, we will look at how we got here, lesson at a glance, key moments, and material management tips and tricks. Starting with how we got here. During lesson 4, we figured out that glacial and interglacial cycling could have isolated populations of bears where natural selection favored traits with variations that were adapted to the cold Arctic climates. In this lesson, we're wondering what will happen to Arctic bear populations as their environment continues to change. The lesson at a glance, this is a putting pieces together, only one day, 20-minute material preparation, mostly printing things, not a hands-on investigation, no required devices, and no additional related videos. With it being a one-day lesson, this is actually a one sense-making loop lesson. So we're going to start by navigating. We'll lead a short discussion about what we're going to be completing today. Then we're focusing on scale. So we're going to have a brief discussion about how scale, thinking about time, is going to help us answer the unit question. Then we'll build a gotta have a checklist individually and with partners. Then we'll build a consensus gotta have a checklist, revise our class consensus model, and take stock of what we have figured out, looking at that driving question board and revisiting it. Students are going to figure out that polar bear populations will decrease and brown bear populations will increase in the future. And we're wondering, will polar bears change and or adapt to the new environment? What we're figuring out from the entire lesson, that the polar bear populations will decline in the future because they evolved to have adaptations for the cold Arctic environment. They're not adapted to this warmer environment with less ice. And that Arctic brown bear populations will increase as the amount of ice decreases because the brown bears will be more competitive for food. The key moments. Part 4. So after the students work together in pairs to create a gotta have it checklist, now we're going to build a consensus gotta have it checklist. So we're going to have a consensus discussion about what goes into this checklist. So we'll have that discussion as a class. And it's all about components, interactions, and mechanisms. So a couple examples for you. A component could be unhealthy polar bears. Interaction is what is like making the polar bears unhealthy. That could be climate change is making the polar bears overheat. So we have polar bears, unhealthy polar bears, and we've got climate change. And then what's that interaction between the two? And the mechanism is, why is that occurring? So the mechanism is that there's too much fat that insulates the polar bear bodies, making them overheat more easily. Part 5, after having that gotta have it checklist, the consensus discussion, we're going to move into revising our class consensus model. There's an example of a consensus model here, thinking again about that time and that scale piece of it. So we've got seasonally available ice, we've got permanent ice, we've got present day, and we've got the future in this consensus model. And we're seeing that polar bear populations on seasonal and permanent ice will decline in the future. Could these polar bear populations recover? Is there a way to make their population bounce back? Is there a way to protect these polar bears? These are all questions that usually come up during this time. And we're seeing that the brown bear populations will expand because climate change melts the ice earlier, and brown bears are better suited for that environment with less ice. Part 6, we're going to take stock of what we have figured out. So we're going to revisit the driving question board, looking at what questions have we answered. All right, let's put a check next to those. Are there any questions that are partially answered? Maybe we circle those questions. And what questions still remain that we haven't investigated yet or we haven't figured out? And finally, can we predict what will happen to polar bear populations? So where do we go from here? We developed a gotta have it checklist and revised our class consensus model. So now we wonder, how will polar bear populations respond to changes in climate? Okay, the tips and tricks. The Gotta Have It checklist is a fantastic tool. I usually like to start the Gotta Have It checklist with some opening questions, asking the students, like, what is a fact you would like to share? All right, what's something that you figured out, some knowledge that we've gained as a class that you want to share? And I'll have a few of them, call out different facts, and I'll write it up on the board. I'll write it on a piece of paper. And what new ideas can we add to our model? So we created our initial consensus model. What's some new information that we figured out? Okay, let's write those things down. And why does this idea matter? So if a student brings up a new idea, then we're asking, why is this important? How is this going to fit into our new consensus model? We're building the Gotta Have It checklist there. I just find starting with these opening questions kind of helps get the ball rolling. And then I really like to present what if scenarios to help extend students' thinking. So what if the polar bears did this? What if the brown bears did this? The what if scenarios make it pretty engaging for the students. And you can see there's an example of kind of an opening checklist that a lot of my classes will complete. So we've just got like, this is what we have figured out. Here's kind of like our facts or our pieces of knowledge. We got these different bears, seals, berries, the different types of ice. We've got bears overheating. We've got the different alleles. We've got advantages that they might have. All of this would go kind of on our initial list. All right, my next tip and trick is all about components, mechanisms, and interactions. Because even at Unit 5, there'll still be some challenging moments with this. So my students found it a quick reminder about what the component interaction and mechanisms are helpful. An analogy that I've used in the past that my students gave great feedback on is a kitchen analogy. So I'm like, all right, let's imagine our kitchen. What's some things in our kitchen? And those are our components. So I'm like, all right, vegetable and knife. And then what is an interaction between those? Chopping vegetables. I use the knife to chop the vegetable. That's my interaction between these two components. And then the mechanism is the step-by-step recipe. Why is this occurring? Why am I chopping these vegetables? I've got another little graphic there on the side that I've put up on whiteboards in the past for my students as well. All right, there are no words that we co-construct or new words that we encounter in this lesson. Poster management, we do have a few posters. The class consensus model from lesson 1, we'll want to have that easily available, the driving question board, and then what we're going to create during this lesson, the Gotta Have It checklist. That is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching it. My key takeaway from this lesson is what a great tool the Gotta Have It checklist is. It really puts students in control of what they figured out and how to communicate it all together. It is also a time to celebrate student success. Thank you again, and you got this.